Would U.S. forces defend Taiwan if China invades? Biden again says, yes. President Joe Biden has reiterated that United States military personnel would defend Taiwan if the Chinese military were to launch an invasion of the democratically ruled island. Appearing on the CBS program 60 Minutes on Sunday, Biden was asked whether 60 Minutes a prospect U.S. officials privately fear is becoming more likely. It's not the first time Biden has appeared to venture beyond the long-standing U.S. approach of strategic ambiguity when it comes to the defense of Taiwan. Most recently, during a visit to Tokyo in May, Biden said the U.S. would intervene militarily if China attempts to take Taiwan by force. The White House has been quick to downplay Biden's previous comments on Taiwan, reiterating that U.S. policy hasn't changed, and on Sunday, 60 Minutes reported receiving a similar response to Biden's answers in their interview. Taiwan lies fewer than 110 miles, 177 kilometers, off the coast of China. For more than 70 years the two sides have been governed separately, but that hasn't stopped China's ruling Communist Party from claiming the island as its own, despite having never controlled it. Chinese leader Xi Jinping has said that reunification between China and Taiwan is inevitable and refused to rule out the use of force. Tensions between Beijing and Taipei are at the highest they've been in recent decades, with the Chinese military holding major military drills near the island. Under the One China policy, the U.S. acknowledges China's position that Taiwan is part of China, but has never officially recognized the Communist Party's claim to the self-governing island of 23 million. The U.S. provides Taiwan defensive weapons, but has remained intentionally ambiguous on whether it would intervene militarily in the event of a Chinese attack. Biden repeated his commitment to those policies in the 60 Minutes interview. "We agree with what we signed onto a long time ago. And that there's one China policy, and Taiwan makes their own judgments about their independence. We are not moving, we're not encouraging their being independent, that's their decision," he said. But asked if U.S. forces would defend the island, he said they would, yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack. China has not responded to Biden's comments as of Monday morning. Previously, Beijing had expressed firm opposition to similar comments made by the U.S. president, and accused Washington of violating the One China principle. Biden's comments Sunday are likely to prompt renewed speculation about potential changes to the U.S.-Taiwan policy, but analysts noted that his choice of words offered room for interpretation and were by no means unequivocal. Biden would get spectrum of options. Drew Thompson, visiting senior research fellow at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy at the National University of Singapore, said we are always tempted to read a great deal into the president's statements, but Biden's view hadn't really changed. Thompson, a former U.S. Defense Department official, said the specific nature of any U.S. defense doesn't necessarily mean American boots on the ground in Taiwan. In the event of any Chinese attack on the island, the Pentagon would present Biden with a spectrum of options for the deployment of U.S. forces, he said. Using U.S. naval assets or air power in an offshore role, even U.S. cyber assets to hamper a possible Chinese invasion, or just a U.S. show of force in the region could all be among those options. Biden's latest statement may place further strains on U.S.-China relations, following U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taipei in August. Beijing responded to her trip with unprecedented military. The issue of Taiwan was also among the key talking points during last week's meeting between Xi and Russian President Vladimir Putin at a regional summit in Uzbekistan, with both men agreeing that Chinese sovereignty over the island is a non-negotiable red line. Xi also said he appreciated Russia's adherence to the One China principle and stressed that Taiwan is a part of China. Debates around the likelihood of a potential Chinese invasion have intensified in the wake of Russia's unprovoked attack on Ukraine, with many analysts indicating Beijing will likely be carefully monitoring the situation in Europe. The U.S. intelligence community has made clear its belief that China is actively attempting to build a military capable of taking over Taiwan, even in the face of U.S. support for the island. Last week, CIA Deputy Director David Cohen said that while Xi has not made the decision to invade Taiwan, he wants China's People's Liberation Army to have the capability to take control of the island by force by 2027. The U.S. intelligence community does not believe that Beijing has made a decision about whether or not to proceed, said Cohen, adding that it is believed Xi would prefer to gain control of Taiwan through non-military means. The CIA official also said the agency is paying close attention to what lessons China is learning from the war in Ukraine. We are watching very carefully how the Chinese are understanding the situation in Ukraine, how the Russians have performed, how the Ukrainians have performed, and the implications of that for their own plans as they may be in Taiwan, Cohen said.